First contact. The Galactic Confederation discovers Earth. The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before the Galactic Confederation's flagship, the Celestial Envoy. Captain Zorak, a tall, slender being with iridescent scales and piercing silver eyes, stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the holographic display of a small blue planet. "Sensors confirm, Captain," reported her first officer, Lux. The avian alien's feathers rustled with excitement. "The third planet of this system shows signs of intelligent life." Zorak's antennas twitched with curiosity. The Confederation had been searching for new civilizations for centuries, hoping to expand their alliance of advanced species. However, their expectations were always tempered by experience. Most species they encountered were barely beyond stone tools, if that. "Very well," Zorak trilled, her voice a melodious blend of clicks and whistles. "Take us into high orbit. Engage stealth systems and begin comprehensive scans." As the Celestial Envoy approached Earth, the bridge crew watched in fascination. Sprawling cities dotted the continents, interconnected by a web of roads and flight paths. Satellites orbited the planet, and a small space station hung in low orbit. "Fascinating," Lux murmured, his beak clicking as he processed the incoming data. "They've achieved rudimentary spaceflight and global communication, but their energy systems are incredibly inefficient. No signs of quantum computing or zero-point energy. I'd estimate their technological level at early space age." Zorak nodded, her expression a mix of excitement and disappointment. Another young species, barely out of its cradle. Still, contact protocols dictated they should introduce themselves. "Prepare a first contact package," she ordered. "We'll broadcast it on their most common frequencies." Hours later, as the carefully crafted message of peace and friendship beamed towards Earth, the Celestial Envoy sensors lit up with activity. "Captain," Lux squawked in alarm. "Multiple launches detected from the planet's surface." Zorak's scales flashed with concern. "Weapons?" "Negative," Lux replied, relief evident in his voice. "They appear to be crude spacecraft, chemically propelled. They're on an intercept course." The bridge fell silent as they watched a dozen small shuttles approach. They were ungainly things, all sharp angles and exposed thrusters, so different from the sleek Confederation designs. "They're hailing us," the communications officer announced. Zorak straightened her posture. This was the moment every explorer dreamed of, first contact with a new species. "On screen," she commanded. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a face that caused gasps among the Confederation crew. The being looked remarkably similar to the ancient legends of the precursors. Bipedal, with 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. "Greetings," the human said, his voice translated by the ship's advanced systems. "I am Colonel Chenwei of the United Earth Space Command. We welcome you to our solar system and hope for peaceful exchange." Zorak, recovering from her shock, responded smoothly. "Greetings, Colonel Chenwei. I am Captain Zorak of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace and look forward to cultural exchange." The formalities concluded, and arrangements were made for a delegation from Earth to visit the Celestial Envoy. As they waited, Zorak conferred with her senior staff. "It's remarkable," Lux mused. "Their physical similarity to the precursor legends can't be coincidence, yet their technology is so primitive." Zorak nodded. "Perhaps they're a lost colony or descendants of some precursor experiment. We must be cautious in our assumptions." When the human delegation arrived, the Confederation crew was taken aback by their crude environmental suits and clumsy movements in the ship's artificial gravity. It only reinforced their initial assessment of humanity's technological level. Colonel Chenwei led the delegation, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the advanced technology surrounding him. "Your ship is incredible," he breathed. "We theorized about some of these technologies, but to see them in action." Zorak's scales rippled with pride. "We're glad to share our knowledge," she said diplomatically. "Perhaps we can help accelerate your species' development." Chen's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "That's very generous," he replied, "but we prefer to develop at our own pace. We're more interested in cultural exchange for now." The Confederation members exchanged glances. Such reluctance to embrace new technology was typical of younger species, often rooted in fear or superstition. As the tour continued, the humans asked questions that the Confederation found amusingly basic. They marveled at the artificial gravity, puzzled over the faster-than-light drive, and seemed utterly baffled by the quantum communication array. "Your power systems must be incredibly advanced," one human scientist remarked, eyeing a conduit pulsing with energy. Lux puffed up his feathers. "Indeed, we use zero-point energy tapped from the quantum vacuum. I'd be happy to explain the basics, though it might be a bit complex." The human scientist smiled politely. "Maybe another time." As the tour concluded, Zerak felt a mixture of excitement and paternalistic concern for this young species. They had so far to go, but such potential. "We'll be staying in your system for some time," she informed Colonel Chen. "We have much to learn about each other." Chen nodded. "Of course. You're welcome to observe, but we ask that you maintain orbit and don't land on Earth without permission. Some of our people might be unsettled by your presence." Zerak agreed, understanding the caution. Many young species struggled with the idea that they weren't alone in the universe. As the human delegation departed, Zerak turned to Lux. "Begin full-spectrum analysis of their planet. I want to know everything. Their history, their cultures, their level of scientific understanding. We need to know how best to guide them into the galactic community." Lux saluted with a wing. "At once, Captain." As the celestial envoy settled into Earth orbit, its crew eagerly began their study of humanity. Little did they know that their assumptions about this seemingly primitive species were about to be shattered, and the galaxy as they knew it would never be the same. "Your power systems must be incredibly advanced," one human scientist remarked, eyeing a conduit pulsing with energy. Lux puffed up his feathers. "Indeed, we use zero-point energy tapped from the quantum vacuum. I'd be happy to explain the basics, though it might be a bit complex." The human scientist smiled politely. "Maybe another time." As the tour concluded, Zerak felt a mixture of excitement and paternalistic concern for this young species. They had so far to go, but such potential. "We'll be staying in your system for some time," she informed Colonel Chen. "We have much to learn about each other." Chen nodded. "Of course. You're welcome to observe, but we ask that you maintain orbit and don't land on Earth without permission. Some of our people might be unsettled by your presence." Zerak agreed, understanding the caution. Many young species struggled with the idea that they weren't alone in the universe. As the human delegation departed, Zerak turned to Lux. "Begin full-spectrum analysis of their planet. I want to know everything. Their history, their cultures, their level of scientific understanding. We need to know how best to guide them into the galactic community." Lux saluted with a wing. "At once, Captain." As the celestial envoy settled into Earth orbit, its crew eagerly began their study of humanity. Little did they know that their assumptions about this seemingly primitive species were about to be shattered, and the galaxy as they knew it would never be the same. "Welcome to Luna Base Alpha," Chen announced as they disembarked. "Our first off-world colony and the headquarters of Earth's Space Force." Zerak and her crew stood in stunned silence, taking in the bustling facility around them. Humans in sleek uniforms moved with purpose, surrounded by technology that seemed centuries beyond what they'd seen on Earth. "I believe we owe you an explanation," Chen said, leading them to a large conference room. As they settled in, holographic displays sprang to life, showing the true extent of human presence in the solar system. Massive orbital stations, hyperspace gates near the outer planets, and fleets of advanced ships filled the projection. 15 years ago, Chen began, we discovered the wreckage of an alien ship in the Kuiper Belt. It was unlike anything we'd ever seen, filled with technology beyond our wildest dreams. We realized then that we weren't alone in the universe, and that we might not be welcome. Zarek's scales paled. "The precursors," she whispered. Chen nodded. "We didn't know who they were, but we knew we had to prepare. We reverse-engineered what we could, made leaps in science and technology that should have taken centuries. But we also realized that we needed to keep our advancements secret. If we were to survive in a potentially hostile galaxy, we needed the element of surprise. So you created this facade," Lux said, understanding dawning in his eyes. "The primitive spacecraft, the inefficient technology, all part of an elaborate deception," Chen confirmed. "We needed to appear harmless, to buy time while we built up our defenses and expanded throughout our solar system." Zarek's mind reeled. The implications were staggering. But why reveal this to us now? Chen's expression turned serious. "Because we've been watching you, Captain. Your confederation seems to be one of the good ones. And because we need allies, the ship we found, it was running from something terrible. And we fear it might be coming for us all." As Chen's words hung in the air, alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. A harried officer burst into the room. "Sir, we're detecting multiple unknown vessels entering the system. They're not responding to hails, and their energy signatures match the descriptions from the precursor ship's database." Chen's face hardened. "It seems our time has run out. Captain Zarak, I know this is sudden, but humanity could use some friends right about now. What do you say? Are you with us?" Zarak looked at her crew, then back at Chen. In that moment, she realized that everything she thought she knew about humanity and the galaxy had changed. With a determined nod, she made her decision. "Tell us what you need, Colonel. The Confederation stands with Earth." As they rushed to the command center, Zarak couldn't help but marvel at the ingenuity and foresight of these humans. They had fooled an entire galactic civilization, preparing in secret for a threat they barely understood. Now, as that threat loomed on the horizon, Zarak knew that the fate of not just Earth, but perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The deception was over. It was time for humanity to show the stars what they were truly capable of. The lost Starship, a game-changing revelation. As alarms blared throughout Luna Base Alpha, Captain Zarak and her crew found themselves swept up in a whirlwind of activity. Humans moved with practiced efficiency, their earlier facade of technological inferiority completely abandoned. Colonel Chen led them to a vast, holographic war room. The solar system stretched out before them, dotted with human outposts and ships that had been invisible to the Confederation's sensors mere hours ago. At the edge of the projection, a cluster of red dots represented the incoming unknown vessels. "Battle stations," Chen barked. "Activate the Helios array." Zarak watched in amazement as a series of massive satellites previously hidden in the sun's corona sprang to life, forming an energy web that encompassed the entire inner solar system. "Impressive," Lux murmured. "A Dyson swarm weaponized." Chen nodded grimly. "One of many precautions we've taken. Now, Captain Zarak, we could use your expertise. What can you tell us about these incoming ships?" Zarak studied the holographic readouts, her scales shimmering with concern. "Their energy signatures are like nothing I've ever seen. The power output is impossible." "Not impossible," a new voice interjected. A tall, silver-haired woman strode into the room, her presence commanding immediate respect. Dr. Elena Volkov, head of Project Lazarus. She introduced herself. "What you're seeing is exactly what we've been preparing for." With a wave of her hand, Dr. Volkov brought up a new hologram, a massive, sleek starship of clearly alien design. "This is the Hyperion, the precursor ship we discovered. Its databank spoke of a catastrophic war against a race known only as the Void Hunters, beings of unimaginable power, consuming entire galaxies in their wake." Zarak's antennas drooped in shock. "The Scourge of Andromeda," she whispered. "We thought they were just legends, cautionary tales told to young ones." "Oh, they're real," Chen said grimly. "And now they're here. But thanks to the Hyperion, we're not defenseless." He turned to Dr. Volkov. "Elena, it's time. Bring her online." Dr. Volkov nodded and tapped a series of commands into her wrist computer. The entire base shuddered, and Zerak felt a strange shift in the gravity field. "What's happening?" she asked, steadying herself against a console. Chen's eyes gleamed with a mix of pride and apprehension. "We're not on the moon anymore, Captain. Welcome aboard humanity's greatest achievement, or rather, our greatest restoration." The holographic displays flickered, and suddenly Zerak found herself looking at a view of the lunar surface from above. Realization dawned on her as the massive structure that had been Luna Base Alpha detached itself from the moon's crust, revealing its true form, a colossal starship. "Impossible," Lux breathed, his feathers standing on end. "Humanity's greatest deception," Dr. Volkov said with a hint of pride. "What you thought was our lunar base was merely the tip of the iceberg. This is the Hyperion, fully restored and enhanced with everything we've learned over the past 15 years. The ship, for that's what it truly was, accelerated away from the moon with impossible grace for its size. Zerak could scarcely believe her eyes as the vessel effortlessly took up position at the head of the human fleet. "But how?" she managed to ask. "The power requirements alone." "0-point energy," Chen explained, "harnessed and amplified beyond anything your Confederation has achieved. The Hyperion showed us the way, and we've spent every waking moment since its discovery pushing the boundaries of what's possible." Alarms blared again, cutting short any further explanations. Multiple hyperspace windows opening. A technician called out, "Void Hunter vessels entering." Alarms blared again, cutting short any further explanations. Multiple hyperspace windows opening. A technician called out, "Void Hunter vessels entering the system." The holographic display erupted with activity as dozens of sleek, obsidian ships materialized near the orbit of Neptune. They moved with an eerie fluid grace that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "By the stars," Zerak whispered, her scales paling at the sight. "There are so many of them." Chen's jaw set in determination. "We've been preparing for this moment for 15 years. Humanity will not go quietly into the night." He turned to his crew. "Battle stations. Activate the Infinity Protocol." The Hyperion hummed with power, its systems coming fully online. Zerak watched in awe as the massive ship's hull seemed to ripple and shift, layers of advanced nanotechnology adapting and reconfiguring in real time. "Captain Zerak," Chen said, turning to her, "we could use the Confederation's help. Your ship may not be as advanced as the Hyperion, but every ally counts in this fight." Zerak straightened, her earlier shock giving way to determination. "The Celestial Envoy stands ready, Colonel. We may not have your technology, but we have centuries of tactical experience." Chen nodded gratefully. "Dr. Volkov, give the Confederation ship access to our tactical network. It's time to show these Void Hunters that humanity and its allies aren't easy prey." As the two fleets drew closer, the tension on the bridge was palpable. The Void Hunters moved with uncanny coordination, their ships forming intricate, ever-shifting patterns that seemed to bend space itself around them. Energy spike detected. A sensor officer called out, "They're charging weapons. Raise shields." Chen ordered, "All ships, evasive maneuvers." The space between the fleets erupted in a dazzling display of energy weapons and point defense systems. The human ships, though outnumbered, moved with surprising agility, their tactics clearly honed for this very scenario. Zerak watched in amazement as the Hyperion unleashed its full arsenal. Beams of concentrated 0-point energy lanced out, striking Void Hunter ships with pinpoint accuracy. Where they hit, the obsidian hulls seemed to warp and dissolve, as if the very fabric of reality was being unraveled. "Impossible," Lux breathed, his feathers ruffling in excitement. "They're manipulating fundamental forces on a quantum level." Dr. Volkov allowed herself a small smile. The Hyperion taught us much, but humanity's ingenuity took those lessons further than even the precursors imagined. The battle raged on, a cosmic dance of destruction and survival. The Void Hunters, for all their advanced technology, seemed taken aback by the ferocity and capability of the human resistance. Ships on both sides fell to the relentless exchange of fire, but slowly, surely, the tide began to turn. "We're pushing them back," Chen exclaimed, his eyes alight with fierce pride. All ships pressed the advantage. As the human fleet surged forward, Zerok noticed something strange. The Void Hunter ships were beginning to move erratically, their perfect formation wavering. "Colonel," she called out, "something's wrong with the enemy fleet. Their movements, it's as if they're confused." Dr. Volkov's eyes widened in realization. The quantum interference field. It's working. Chen grinned. "Humanity's secret weapon, Captain. We're not just fighting them in normal space. We're disrupting their neural networks on a quantum level. For the first time in their existence, the Void Hunters are experiencing doubt, confusion, maybe even fear." The battle's momentum shifted dramatically. The once coordinated Void Hunter fleet began to break apart, individual ships either fleeing or fighting with desperate, uncoordinated fury. Hours passed in a blur of tactical maneuvers and dazzling firefights. Finally, as the last Void Hunter ship winked out of existence, fleeing or destroyed, it wasn't clear. An eerie silence fell over the battlefield. Chen let out a long, shaky breath. "Status report. Enemy fleet neutralized, sir," a tactical officer responded. "We've suffered losses, but the majority of our fleet is intact. The Hyperion systems are operating at 89% efficiency." Zerok looked out at the debris-strewn space, her mind struggling to process what she had just witnessed. I don't know what to say, Colonel. Your people have achieved the impossible." Chen's expression was a mix of pride and somber reflection. "We did what we had to do to survive, Captain. But this was just the beginning. The Void Hunters will be back, and next time, they'll be prepared for our tricks." Dr. Volkov stepped forward, her face set with determination. "Then we'll be ready for them. The Hyperion has more secrets to yield, and humanity's work is far from done." As the adrenaline of battle faded, Zerok found herself reevaluating everything she thought she knew about the galaxy and humanity's place in it. These beings, who she had initially dismissed as primitive, had not only outsmarted an entire galactic civilization, but had also stood against a threat that had been the stuff of nightmares for countless species. "Colonel," she said, her voice filled with newfound respect, "I believe it's time for humanity to take its rightful place in the galactic community. The Confederation, and indeed, the entire galaxy, could learn much from your people." Chen nodded, a tired but grateful smile on his face. "And we have much to learn from you, Captain. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and perhaps the dawn of a new era for all sentient life." As the Hyperion and the remaining fleet began their journey back to Earth, Zerok couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement mixed with trepidation. The galaxy as she knew it had changed forever, and humanity was at the center of it all. The future, uncertain as it was, promised to be nothing short of extraordinary. Tables turned. Humanity's true capabilities unveiled. In the days following the battle against the Void Hunters, Earth's solar system buzzed with activity. The facade of a primitive civilization had been completely dropped, revealing a complex network of advanced outposts, shipyards, and research facilities throughout the system. Captain Zerok found herself in a state of perpetual awe as she and her crew were given a comprehensive tour of humanity's true capabilities. The celestial envoy had been invited to dock at one of Earth's orbital stations, a massive structure that dwarfed anything the Confederation had built. "This is Nexus 1, Colonel Chen explained as they walked through gleaming corridors filled with humans and advanced AI interfaces. "It's our primary research and development hub. Most of the technologies you saw during the battle were conceived and refined here." Zerak's antennas twitched with curiosity. The level of advancement is staggering. To think you achieved all this in just 15 years. Dr. Volkov, who had joined them for the tour, smiled. Necessity is the mother of invention, Captain. The discovery of the Hyperion and the threat it warned us about kicked our entire species into overdrive. We've made more scientific progress in the past decade and a half than in our entire previous history. As they entered a vast laboratory, Zerak and her crew gasped in unison. At the center of the room floated a swirling mass of energy, pulsing with colors that seemed to defy description. This, Chen said with a hint of pride, is the heart of our quantum manipulation technology. We call it the Infinity Core. Lux stepped forward, his feathers ruffling in excitement. Incredible. You've managed to stabilize a quantum singularity. Dr. Volkov nodded. More than that, we can shape it, direct it. It's the key to our zero-point energy extraction, our faster-than-light travel, even our most advanced weapon systems. Zerak shook her head in disbelief. The power requirements must be enormous. How do you contain it? That's where this comes in, Chen said, leading them to another section of the lab. Here, a team of scientists worked around a floating crystal that seemed to pulse with an inner light. We call it the Philosopher's Stone. It's a programmable matter-energy matrix that can adapt to any containment need. It's how we were able to resurrect and enhance the Hyperion. As the tour continued, Zerak found herself repeatedly stunned by the ingenuity and sheer audacity of human scientific achievements. They had not only mastered technologies that the Confederation had deemed theoretical, but they had pushed beyond, into realms of science that bordered on the miraculous. There's one more thing we'd like to show you, Chen said as they boarded a sleek shuttle. Something that might change the way you view the galaxy itself. The shuttle zipped through space at impossible speeds, and before Zerak could even process their trajectory, they were approaching what looked like a massive ring structure near the orbit of Jupiter. "Welcome to the Bifrost," Dr. Volkov announced. "Our gateway to the stars." As they drew closer, Zerak realized the true scale of the structure. It was enormous, easily large enough for capital ships to pass through. At its center, a shimmering field of energy pulsed with barely contained power. "An Einstein-Rosen bridge," Lux whispered in awe. "You've created a stable wormhole." Chen nodded. "More than that, we can direct it to any point in spacetime. It's how we plan to expand beyond our solar system, to meet the Void Hunters on our terms instead of waiting for them to come to us." Zerak's mind reeled at the implications. With this technology, humanity could traverse the galaxy in moments, establishing a presence far beyond anything the Confederation had achieved in centuries of slower-than-light travel. "Colonel," she said, her voice filled with a mixture of respect and concern, "with all due respect, how can we trust that humanity won't use these advancements to dominate the galaxy? The power you wield." Chen's expression turned serious. "That's precisely why we revealed ourselves to you, Captain. We need allies, not subjects. The threat of the Void Hunters is real, and it's bigger than any one species. We believe that by sharing our knowledge and working together, we can create a united front against the darkness that's coming." Dr. Volkov stepped forward. "We're proposing a new kind of alliance, Captain. One that goes beyond the current structure of your Confederation. A union of species, with humanity serving not as conquerors, but as guides and protectors." Zerak considered their words carefully. The humanity she had first encountered, seemingly primitive and cautious, was a far cry from the technological powerhouse she now knew them to be. Yet, despite their advancements, they sought cooperation rather than dominance. "Your people have achieved in 15 years what many species haven't in millennia," she said slowly. "It's humbling. And I believe you're right. The galaxy needs this alliance. But it won't be easy. Many in the Confederation will fear you, perhaps even see you as a threat." Chen smiled, a glimmer of that human determination shining in his eyes. "Then we'll just have to show them what humanity is truly capable of, not through force, but through friendship, innovation, and a shared vision for the future. As they made their way back to Earth, Zerok found herself filled with a newfound hope. The galaxy stood on the precipice of a new era, one where the combined ingenuity of multiple species might just be enough to face the cosmic horrors that lurked in the void. Humanity, once thought to be a primitive species on the fringes of the galaxy, had revealed itself to be a beacon of innovation and courage. Now, as they prepared to step onto the galactic stage, Zerok knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The tables had turned, and humanity was ready to rewrite the rules of the cosmos. A new era, redefining Earth's place in the galaxy. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with tension and excitement. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the tiered seats, their murmurs creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and rumbles. At the center of it all stood Captain Zerok, flanked by Colonel Chen and Dr. Volkov. "Order," boomed the voice of High Counselor Xylox, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate crystalline structure. "We are gathered here today to discuss a matter of unprecedented importance, the inclusion of humanity in the Galactic Confederation." A hush fell over the assembly as Zerok stepped forward. Her scales shimmered with a mix of nervousness and determination as she began to speak. "Esteemed colleagues," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall, "I stand before you today to vouch for a species that has demonstrated not only remarkable technological prowess, but also wisdom, courage, and a deep commitment to the greater good of all sentient life." She recounted the events of the past few weeks, the initial contact, the revelation of humanity's true capabilities, and their pivotal role in repelling the Void Hunter incursion. As she spoke, holographic displays showed footage of the battle, the advanced human technologies, and the wonders of their solar system. "Humanity has achieved in mere decades what many of us haven't in millennia," Zerok continued. "But more importantly, they chose to reveal themselves not out of a desire for dominance, but out of a recognition that the challenges facing our galaxy require us all to stand united." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, a mix of awe, skepticism, and fear. A Quarian representative, their tentacles writhing with agitation, rose to speak. "How can we trust a species that has deceived us so thoroughly?" they demanded. "For all we know, these humans could be in league with the Void Hunters, luring us into a false sense of security." Colonel Chen stepped forward, his posture calm but commanding. "Esteemed representatives of the Confederation, I understand your concerns. Our deception was born not out of malice, but out of a desperate need to protect ourselves in a galaxy we knew nothing about. We've lived for 15 years with the knowledge that a threat of unimaginable power was coming for us all. Every decision we made was with the survival of not just humanity, but all sentient life in mind." He gestured to the holographic displays, which now showed images of Earth, its diverse ecosystems, its teeming cities, its art and culture. "This is what we fight to protect. Not just our world, but the idea that life, in all its forms, has the right to exist and thrive. We revealed ourselves to you not because we had to, but because we believe that together we can face any threat that comes our way." Dr. Volkov stepped up, her silver hair gleaming under the assembly hall's lights. "We come before you not as conquerors, but as partners. The technologies we've developed, the Infinity Core, the Bifrost, the quantum manipulation fields, we're prepared to share them all. In return, we ask for your trust, your cooperation, and your commitment to standing with us against the darkness that threatens us all." The assembly erupted into chaos, representatives shouting questions, demands, and objections. High Counselor Xylox's form pulsed brightly, restoring order. "We have much to discuss, the energy being intoned. But first, a vote. Shall we accept humanity's petition to join the Confederation, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails?" The next few hours were a blur of debate, questioning, and deliberation. Zerok, Chen, and Volkov fielded inquiries from dozens of species, each with their own concerns and curiosities about humanity and its place in the galactic order. Finally, as the assembly's three suns began to set, casting the hall in a golden glow, High Counselor Xylox called for the final vote. By a margin of 73%, the energy being announced, its voice resonating through the hall, the Galactic Confederation hereby accepts humanity as its newest member species. The hall erupted in a mix of cheers, applause, and the occasional grumble of dissent. As Chen and Volkov shook hands, or appendages, with various representatives, Zarak felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Congratulations, Colonel," she said, her scales shimmering with joy. "Welcome to the galactic community." Chen smiled, a mix of pride and humility in his eyes. "Thank you, Captain. But this is just the beginning. We have a lot of work ahead of us." In the days and weeks that followed, the galaxy saw changes at a pace never before witnessed in its long history. Human technologies began to spread, revolutionizing everything from energy production. In the days and weeks that followed, the galaxy saw changes at a pace never before witnessed in its long history. Human technologies began to spread, revolutionizing everything from energy production to medicine. The Bifrost network expanded, connecting distant star systems in ways that were previously unimaginable. Earth became a hub of interstellar activity, with representatives from hundreds of species flocking to learn, trade, and collaborate. The once secret facilities of Luna Base Alpha and Nexus 1 were opened for joint research initiatives, fostering an unprecedented era of scientific cooperation. Captain Zarak found herself at the center of this whirlwind of change. As one of the first non-humans to witness humanity's true capabilities, she had become an unofficial ambassador, helping to bridge the gap between Earth and the wider galactic community. "It's remarkable," she mused to Colonel Chen as they stood in the observation deck of the newly christened Harmony Station, a massive space habitat orbiting Earth. Below them, the blue marble of humanity's homeworld shone brilliantly. "A month ago, we thought your people were barely out of the Stone Age. Now, you're reshaping the very fabric of our civilization." Chen nodded, his expression a mix of pride and contemplation. "It's been an adjustment for us too, Captain. For 15 years, we lived in constant fear, preparing for a threat we barely understood. Opening up to the galaxy, trusting others with our secrets. It hasn't been easy. But necessary," came the voice of Dr. Volkov as she joined them. "The latest reports from our long-range quantum sensors are troubling. The void hunters we faced, they were just a scouting party." Zarek's scales paled. "How many?" "Thousands of ships," Volkov said grimly. "Maybe more. They're still months away at FTL speeds, but they're coming. And this time, they'll be ready for us." Chen's jaw set with determination. "Then we'll be ready for them. Not just humanity, but all of us together." As if on cue, a shimmer of energy announced the arrival of High Counselor Xylox. The crystalline structure housing the energy being glowed softly as it approached. "Your warning has been heard, friends," Xylox intoned. "The Confederation Council has voted unanimously to enact the Unity Protocol. All member species are pooling their resources, their knowledge, their very best and brightest, to face this threat." Zarak felt a surge of hope. "It's unprecedented. Never in our history have all species agreed on anything so quickly. Fear is a powerful motivator," Chen said, "but so is hope. We've given the galaxy both, the fear of annihilation and the hope that together we can prevent it." Dr. Volkov stepped forward, her eyes alight with the fire of scientific pursuit. "We're already seeing incredible advancements. The Quarians have combined their bioengineering expertise with our quantum manipulation tech. The results are, well, you have to see it to believe it." She activated a holographic display, showing a swirling vortex of energy and organic matter. "We're calling it the Genesis Matrix. Imagine being able to regrow entire ecosystems in days or heal injuries that were once thought fatal in minutes." Xylox's form pulsed with interest, and the Alkari have made significant breakthroughs in merging their photonic computing with human AI algorithms. The potential for predictive modeling and strategic analysis is beyond anything we've ever seen. As they discussed the myriad advancements and alliances forming across the galaxy, Zarak couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The galaxy she had known all her life was transforming before her eyes, all because a single species had the courage to face the unknown and the wisdom to seek allies in their fight. "You know," she said, turning to Chen, "when we first detected your radio signals and decided to make contact, we thought we were going to be uplifting a primitive species. Instead, you've uplifted the entire galaxy." Chen smiled, a hint of that characteristic human humor in his eyes. "Well, we've always been full of surprises, but the real test is yet to come." As if to punctuate his words, alarms began to blare throughout the station. Volkov's wrist computer lit up with urgent messages. "Multiple Bifrost activations detected," she reported, her voice tense. "It's happening. The Void Hunters have entered the Andromeda Galaxy." The mood in the observation deck shifted instantly from reflection to action. Chen straightened, every inch the military commander. "Xylox, alert the Confederation. It's time to put our unity to the test. Dr. Volkov, I want every scientist, every lab, every quantum computer focused on countermeasures. Captain Zarak." Zarak met his gaze, her scales shimmering with determination. "The Celestial Envoy stands ready, Colonel, as does every ship in the Confederation fleet." As they rushed to their stations, preparing to face a threat that would determine the fate of not just one species, but entire galaxies, Zarak felt something she hadn't experienced in a long time: genuine hope. Humanity, the species that had fooled the galaxy, that had prepared in secret for this very moment, was now leading the charge to save it all. The Void Hunters were coming, yes, but they would find not a disparate collection of vulnerable civilizations, but a united front, backed by technologies and alliances they could never have anticipated. At the heart of it all was humanity, versatile, innovative, and unbreakably determined. As the first reports of enemy contacts began to flood in, as fleets mobilized and weapons powered up, as scientists worked feverishly on last-minute innovations, one thing became clear to every being in the Milky Way and beyond. The age of division was over. A new era had begun, the era of unity, of defiance against the dark. And leading the charge, showing the way forward, was the species that had once been dismissed as primitive, the ones who had turned the tables on the entire galaxy. Humanity had revealed its true nature, and the universe would never be the same.